The snow fell thick over Boston that Christmas Eve. Inside the Grand Rose restaurant, families laughed around tables glowing with candlelight. Children darted between chairs, their joy filling every corner. But at table 7, Catherine Walsh sat completely alone. She was 74 years old. Her white hair was pulled into a silver bun. She wore an elegant black dress that hung loose on her thin frame. Her hands trembled slightly as they rested on the arms of her wheelchair. The prime rib dinner in front of her had gone cold 20 minutes ago. She hadn't touched it. Across from her sat an empty chair. 3 years ago, her husband David would have been sitting there. 3 years ago, she could walk. 3 years ago, everything was different. The stroke had stolen both in a single night. David went first, collapsing in their kitchen. She felt trying to reach him, the impact fracturing her spine. She woke up in a hospital bed, unable to feel her legs. A doctor with kind eyes told her David hadn't made it. That was 3 years of physical therapy ago. 3 years of learning to navigate a world built for people who could walk. 3 years of silence in a house that felt like a tomb. A burst of laughter erupted beside her. A mother was cutting turkey for her 2 daughters. The father made funny faces. The girls giggled. The mother reached over and squeezed her husband's hand, and Catherine looked away before the tears could start. Her phone sat dark on the table. No messages, no calls. Her daughter Rebecca was in London with her husband and their new baby. She'd sent a text that morning. "Sorry we can't make it, Mom. Next Christmas for sure. Love you. Next Christmas." That's what she'd said last year, too. Catherine picked up her fork, put it down, picked up her water glass. Her hand shook so badly she had to set it down, afraid everyone would stare at the pathetic old woman who couldn't even hold a glass steady. She pressed her napkin to her eyes, trying to hide the tears that came without warning. "Excuse me, ma'am." Catherine looked up, expecting the waiter. Instead, she saw a little girl, maybe 6 years old. Dark brown skin, hair, and 2 perfect braids tied with red ribbons. She wore a purple coat that was slightly too small, the sleeves stopping short of her wrists. Her brown eyes were serious and direct. "Are you okay?" the girl asked. Catherine quickly wiped her face. "I'm fine, sweetheart. Thank you." "You're crying." The girl stated it simply, without judgment. "Why are you sad?" "It's Christmas Eve. Nobody should be sad on Christmas Eve." A man appeared behind the girl, tall, early 30s, with deep brown skin and tired eyes that held too much worry. He wore jeans and a worn blue jacket. His hand rested protectively on the girl's shoulder. "Maya, honey, we need to go." He looked at Catherine apologetically. "I'm sorry to bother you, ma'am." But Maya didn't move. She kept staring at Catherine with those impossibly direct eyes. "You're by yourself," Maya said. "That's why you're sad. You're alone." Catherine's throat closed. This child had seen in 3 seconds what she'd been trying to hide for 3 years. "Maya, please." The man's voice was gentle but firm. "We were just leaving. Again, I apologize." "No, wait." Catherine heard herself speak before she knew what she was saying. "It's all right." "She's right. I am alone." Maya reached into her coat pocket and pulled out something wrapped in crumpled tissue paper. She held it out to Catherine. "I made this for my daddy, but I think you need it more." Catherine took it with shaking hands. She unwrapped it carefully. Inside was a handmade Christmas card, construction paper folded in half. On the front, Maya had drawn 3 people holding hands in crayon. A tall figure, a small figure, and a lighter figure in the middle that was slightly faded. Inside, in shaky letters, "Family is love. Merry Christmas." Catherine stared at it. The stick figures blurred as tears filled her eyes again. "Maya made that for me this morning," the man said quietly. "The middle person is supposed to be her mother. She passed away 2 years ago." Catherine looked up at him. His face held the same grief that lived inside her chest, the kind that never really leaves, just learns to exist alongside everything else. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "Thank you." He cleared his throat. "Come on, Maya, let's let this nice lady enjoy her dinner." "But she's not enjoying it," Maya said. "She hasn't eaten anything. And it's Christmas Eve. Nobody should eat alone on Christmas Eve." The girl looked up at her father with such pure determination that Catherine felt something crack open inside her chest. A place that had been frozen for 3 years suddenly felt warm. "She's right," Catherine said. "Nobody should eat alone on Christmas Eve." She looked at the man, at his worn clothes and tired eyes, at Maya and her too small coat. "Would you join me, please? I have far too much food, and I would love the company." The man's face went through several expressions at once: surprise, uncertainty, pride warring with need. "We couldn't," he started. "Please," Catherine said again. "It would mean the world to me." Maya's face lit up like the Christmas tree in the corner. "Can we, Daddy? Please?" The man looked at his daughter, then at Catherine. She could see the exact moment he decided. "Okay," he said. "Thank you. That's very kind." Maya immediately climbed into the chair across from Catherine. The man sat down more slowly, looking uncomfortable among the restaurant's elegant decor. "I'm Catherine Walsh," she said. "Marcus Davis, and this is my daughter, Maya." "It's very nice to meet you both," Catherine signaled the waiter. "Could we please have 2 more menus? And perhaps you could warm this up." She gestured to her untouched dinner. As the waiter hurried away, Maya was already pulling crayons from her pocket. "Do you have any paper?" she asked Catherine. "Maya, you can't just—" Marcus started. "It's fine." Catherine pulled a small notebook from her purse. "Here, sweetheart. You can draw whatever you like." While Maya bent over the paper, her tongue poking out in concentration, Catherine looked at Marcus. "Thank you for this," she said quietly. "I meant what I said. Nobody should be alone on Christmas Eve." Marcus met her eyes. "Neither should you." And in that moment, something passed between them. An understanding. They were both people who had lost too much, who understood what it meant to keep going when everything inside you wanted to stop. "Tell me about yourselves," Catherine said. "How did you end up here tonight?" Marcus glanced at Maya, then back at Catherine. "We actually came to the wrong restaurant. We were looking for Joe's Diner down the street. I promised Maya a Christmas dinner out, but—" He trailed off, looking embarrassed. "This place is a bit out of our price range. We were just going to go home and have spaghetti, but Daddy said we should walk around and look at the Christmas lights first," Maya added cheerfully, not looking up from her drawing. "And I saw you through the window. You looked so sad. She has a gift for seeing when people need help," Marcus said softly, watching his daughter with obvious love. The waiter returned with menus. Marcus's eyes widened slightly at the prices. Catherine saw him do quick math in his head. "Order whatever you'd like," Catherine said. "Please, it's my treat." "I insist." "Ma'am, we can't." "You can and you will." Her voice took on the tone she'd used running a billion-dollar company for 40 years. "Consider it a favor to me." I was having a miserable Christmas until you two walked over. This is the first time I've smiled in," her voice caught. "I can't remember how long." Marcus looked like he wanted to argue, but Maya was already pointing at the menu. "Daddy, they have chicken tenders and mac and cheese." Marcus sighed, but his eyes softened as he looked at his daughter. "All right, chicken tenders it is." "And for you?" Catherine asked. "Just a burger is fine." "Thank you." They ordered, and as they waited for the food, Catherine asked more questions. Not prying, just gentle curiosity. And Marcus slowly began to talk. He was a mechanical engineer, worked at a manufacturing plant in Roxbury. His wife Simone had died of lupus 2 years ago. She'd been a social worker. They'd met at a community center where he'd been volunteering, teaching kids about robotics. The medical bills were, he stopped, his jaw tightening. They were a lot. We just finished paying them off 6 months ago. Simone had been sick for 3 years before. He couldn't finish. Maya looked up from her drawing. She reached over and patted her father's hand. "It's okay, Daddy. Mommy's with the angels now." "She's not hurting anymore." Marcus's eyes were bright. He nodded, not trusting his voice. Catherine felt her own throat tighten. She understood that kind of loss, the kind that carved you hollow and left you wondering how to keep breathing. "What about you?" Marcus asked after a moment, clearly wanting to change the subject. "Do you have family in Boston?" "I have a daughter, Rebecca. She's in London right now with her family." "That must be hard." "Being away from her on Christmas," Catherine chose her words carefully. "We're not as close as we should be. That's my fault. I spent her childhood building my business instead of being there for her. By the time I realized what I'd lost, she'd already moved on with her life." "It's never too late," Marcus said. "Maybe." Catherine looked at Maya, who was now drawing what appeared to be a snowman. "You're doing it right. Being there. That's what matters." "I'm trying." Marcus's voice was rough. "Some days are harder than others." The food arrived. Maya dug into her chicken tenders with pure 6-year-old enthusiasm. Marcus ate his burger slowly, like he was trying to make it last. Catherine watched them and felt something she hadn't felt in years. Not just warmth, not just less alone. She felt needed. This man and this little girl had walked into her life by accident. Or maybe not accident. Maybe something else. Something she'd stopped believing in years ago. "Maya," Catherine said, "would you help me with something?" Maya looked up, a French fry halfway to her mouth. "What? I'm not eating my vegetables. They're delicious, but there's too much for me. Would you help me finish them?" Maya wrinkled her nose. "They're green beans. They're good for you," Marcus said automatically. "I'll make you a deal," Catherine said. "You eat 5 green beans, and I'll tell you a story about when I was a little girl on Christmas." Maya's eyes lit up. "Really? Okay." She speared a green bean with her fork like it was a dangerous enemy. She ate it, made a face, then looked at Catherine expectantly. Story time. And so Catherine told her about growing up poor in South Boston, about her mother working 3 jobs, about the Christmas when she was 7 and thought there wouldn't be any presents, but her mother had secretly saved all year to buy her a single doll. "I still have that doll," Catherine said softly. "In my bedroom. I've kept it for 67 years. Because it reminds you your mommy loved you," Maya said. "Yes, that's exactly right." Maya ate another green bean without being asked. They talked through dinner. Catherine found herself sharing things she hadn't spoken about in years. About David. About building Walsh Industries from a single storefront to an empire. About the stroke and the long, painful recovery that never quite brought her all the way back. Marcus shared too. About Simone's diagnosis. The year of treatments that didn't work. The night she died, holding his hand while Maya slept in the chair next to the hospital bed. "I didn't know how I was going to keep going," he said quietly. "But then Maya woke up and asked me if we could have pancakes for breakfast. And I realized life just keeps going. Even when you think it can't. Even when you don't want it to," Catherine added. "Yeah." They sat in silence for a moment, not uncomfortable. Just two people who understood. "Can I tell you something?" Maya said suddenly. "Of course, sweetheart. You remind me of my grandma. She died before I was born, but Daddy shows me pictures. You have the same kind eyes." Catherine's vision blurred. She reached across the table and took Maya's small hand in her wrinkled one. "That's the nicest thing anyone has said to me in a very long time." Maya smiled. Then, without warning, she started to sing. "Silent Night, Holy Night." Her voice was thin and slightly off-key, but it was the most beautiful sound Catherine had heard in 3 years. Marcus joined in, his deeper voice harmonizing with his daughter's. Other diners started to look over. Some smiled. A few pulled out phones to record. Catherine just closed her eyes and listened. When they finished, the restaurant erupted in applause. Maya beamed. Marcus looked embarrassed but proud. Catherine opened her purse. She pulled out her business card and handed it to Marcus. "I want you to come to my home," she said, "tomorrow. For dinner. There's something I'd like to discuss with you." Marcus looked at the card. His eyes widened as he read it. Walsh Industries. "You're Catherine Walsh, the Catherine Walsh. I am—" "Ma'am, I can't." "Tomorrow, 6 o'clock. My address is on the card." She looked at Maya. "I have a piano. Do you like music? I love music. Mommy used to sing to me every night. Then you can play my piano while your father and I talk. Please, Marcus. Just dinner and a conversation." Marcus looked at his daughter, at the card, at Catherine. "Okay," he said finally. "Tomorrow at 6? Catherine smiled. For the first time in 3 years, she had something to look forward to. As they stood to leave, Maya threw her arms around Catherine's neck. "Merry Christmas, Grandma Catherine," she whispered, held her tight, breathing in the smell of cocoa butter lotion and childhood innocence. "Merry Christmas, sweetheart." She watched them leave, Marcus holding Maya's hand, Maya skipping beside him. Two people who had saved Christmas for a lonely old woman who thought she had nothing left. Catherine looked down at the card Maya had given her. The stick figures holding hands. Family is love. Yes, Catherine thought. Yes, it is. Catherine didn't sleep that night. She sat in her penthouse apartment, 15 floors above Boston, and stared out at the city lights through the falling snow. Her mind wouldn't stop moving. Marcus Davis, mechanical engineer, widowed, single father. At 6 in the morning, she called her personal assistant. "Margaret, I need you to find someone for me." Full background check, but discreet. Very discreet. By noon, she had a file on her desk. Catherine opened it with trembling hands. Marcus Davis, born in Boston, grew up in Mattapan. Father died when he was 8. Mother raised him and his 2 brothers alone, working as a school cafeteria manager. Bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering from UMass Boston. Graduated summa cum laude. No criminal record. Credit score 610. Total debt $167,000. Catherine flipped through the pages. Most of it was medical bills from Simone's treatment. Experimental drugs they'd paid for out of pocket when the insurance ran out. After Simone died, Marcus had sold their small house to pay off half the debt. He and Maya lived in a 2-bedroom apartment in Roxbury now. Rent $1,400 a month. Income $62,000 a year from his job at the plant. After rent, debt payments, food, Maya's after-school program, he had maybe $400 left over each month. But that wasn't what made Catherine's blood run cold. It was the employment section. In the past 3 years, Marcus had applied to 17 different engineering firms, major companies, places that paid 6 figures with full benefits. He'd been called for interviews 9 times. He'd been offered positions 4 times. Each offer had been rescinded within 72 hours. Catherine read the emails. They all said the same thing in slightly different words. After further consideration, we've decided to go in a different direction. Budget constraints require us to postpone this position. We found a candidate who's a better cultural fit. Cultural fit. That phrase made Catherine want to break something. She kept reading. Marcus had stellar references, a portfolio that showed incredible skill. He'd designed efficiency improvements that saved his current plant over $2 million. He'd published 3 papers in engineering journals. One of his robotics programs for underprivileged kids had been featured in the Boston Globe, but none of that mattered, because somehow, despite his degree and his talent and his work ethic, Marcus Davis kept getting passed over. Catherine looked at a note from her investigator. Informal inquiries suggest Mr. Davis's race and single father's status may be factors in rescinded offers. No direct evidence, but pattern is consistent with discrimination. Catherine closed the file. She picked up her phone and called the head of Walsh Industries' engineering division. "Robert, I'm starting a new initiative. Advanced manufacturing innovation. I want us to develop sustainable production methods. Hire the best people. Real talent, not just credentials." Robert sounded confused. "Catherine, that's going to require significant investment. The board works for me. Set up a meeting for Monday. I'm making some changes.